Welcome to Zatoichi Week. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Zatoichi's Revenge, the first movie of our Zatoichi Week, technically Zatoichi Week 2, but our first of the new monthly movie weeks. So for those who don't know, we're doing a new thing on the channel called Monthly Movie Week. The last week of every month, even if it's not the entirely of that week, in this case, as example, or of that month, you know what I mean. The first 3 days of this week are still April, but Thursday and Friday are May, so we're still counting it. But the last week of every month, we are doing a movie week where each day, along with our normal series reactions, we will be putting up a movie reaction, Monday through Friday. That means that this weekend, there will be no movie reactions on Saturday and Sunday. This is a special thing that kind of supersedes that. Just because I don't really think I'd be able to properly plan for recording our normal shows, movies every day, and then 2 extra movies for the weekend as well. It'd be a little too much for me to handle there. But yeah, so we are doing this. So every day this week, Monday through Friday, there will be another Zatoichi movie in the order they come in. So we're starting today with Zatoichi's Revenge. All of these are donation rewards for Venom. Zatoichi's Revenge just implies that he's going to get revenge on someone for some reason. This could come for a number of reasons. Ichi is a character who's not typically vengeful, but can be if someone really crosses him. I think it was the last one we watched, we kind of saw that when he got tricked and played by the old guy and everything, and he became like upset by it, to say. Normally he's a very fun-loving, goofy, just wholesome type of guy, but he does have a side to him that can get a little more aggressive when necessary, and he obviously is willing to kill people if it's to save others or, act in self-defense. He doesn't want to do it, but he's not going to let himself be killed, So we see that he does still have a little bit of a dark side to him. Not to a notable degree, but enough of one to really affect things. I otherwise don't know anything as usual with these movies. I don't know what to expect. This one came out in 65. I don't know if it's gonna differ that much in terms of quality from the last, because their quality changes very slightly due to the fact that these were released in such quick succession. So it's you don't usually see a huge amount of quality change between these movies. The biggest one was just when it went from black and white to color. And otherwise it's just super subtle. I wonder if we're ever going to get a bigger jump in terms of time between the films and in terms of quality. That would be really interesting to see. But I am definitely curious to see more of how this series continues to go. And I'm going to tell you right now, before anything and before we get really into this week and all the movies to come, I will announce at the end of Friday's reaction, the final movie of this Zatoichi movie week, I will announce what the theme will be for May's end of the month movie week. But I will not announce it until then. So at the end of Friday's reaction, I'll announce what May's theme will be, and that's kind of how we're going to play it going forward. So yeah, that is the plan. We will see how it goes and kind of adjust from there if need be. That all being said, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Let us get this going and see what kind of revenge Ichi is seeking in this film. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, it's interesting to me, because this movie did a lot of different things that a lot of the other films in this series don't really tend to do. From different camera angles, different just tracking shots and whatnot, a lot of really unique ideas and experimentations were done with this one. And it's not the first of the Zatoichi films that has experimented in ways. Obviously, throughout the films, throughout the series, various movies have done some different things to progress experimentation and try new ideas. And that's going to happen with a long-running series like this. When you have so many movies in this and you're releasing them so quickly in like quick snappy succession, they're going to try new things. They're going to see what sticks, what works and what doesn't, what audiences react best to. And I don't know what audiences reacted best to when these were released. Like I said, this came out in 65. This was like a year before my father was born. So it's like, yeah. I don't know like how people would have reacted to a lot of the like more dynamic shots in that era. I personally loved it. I thought the different dynamic shots and everything were fantastic, and allowed a lot better of a depth of visual for this film. And like I was talking about at the end, there were certain shots during the action scene at the end where it felt like you as a viewer were being placed into the shots. Like the way they were angled, like it felt like you were seen from the perspective of a person who was there, who was like crouching down there watching the action unfold right in front of you. It felt like you were part of the scene. And that's the kind of shit I really love to see. Because a lot of movies, both in the past and nowadays, like to be, for lack of a better word, overly cinematic. They tend to be very well shot. And it works for a lot of them. But you always feel like you're watching a movie, you know? You never feel like you're part of the movie. That's really rare when you find a film that you actually can feel like you're, like, being put into through the way it's shot. And it has happened. It happens every now and again. But this is definitely an example of that. And I really like how it was done. And maybe not the entire film, but for those times that it was really successful. This movie also showed what I was kind of expecting with Ichi in terms of his darker side. Like I was saying in the pre-thoughts, Ichi's a normally very down-to-earth, very, you know, jolly, likable, wholesome character. But on occasion, he has shown that he can get angry, that he can become more aggressive. And it usually happens when someone he cares about is threatened, or when, the bad guys do something that like really angers him, that would really go against his morals, his philosophies, his ideals, etc. And like that seems obvious. You have a character who is generally speaking a good person, but you also have to think about this from his perspective as a character. Ichi is a former Yakuza. He was a bad person at one point, and that's why he has such a low opinion of himself nowadays. Because he feels that the bad he has done in the past makes him unworthy of good fortune, of being loved, and being able to find happiness in the end. This is why, like, in a lot of the early movies, when he was given love interests, he could never end up being with them in the end, even though they were very receptive to this. They wanted to be together with him, and he wanted to be together. It was entirely mutual. But he felt like he couldn't. He felt like he didn't deserve to. And throughout all these different stops on his wandering journey, he always had to leave them. Because he never felt worthy because of his past. He felt that his past ruined him and made him into someone who had to basically atone for his actions. And that's kind of what he sees himself as doing when he helps these people out. Even when it's people he has a personal connection to. Like the girl in this. Like, she's the daughter of his masseuring master. He has a very personal connection to her. He's known her since she was young. Mind you, he hasn't seen her in a decade, but still, she knew who he was when he told her. They knew each other pretty well. And so when he finds out his master is killed and everything, and he finds out that his master's daughter is being forced to work in a brothel and is being literally beaten and abused in that same brothel, all to pay off a debt that never even existed, yeah, that's going to anger him. That's going to cause him a lot of pain and rage. That's going to bring back the Ichi that was in the Yakuza. That side of him is going to come back, and that's what we saw here at the end. When he killed the magistrates and Yatsugoro, or Tatsugoro, whatever the fuck his name was, you saw the expression he wore when he was walking away. The serious, intense, even kind of scary expression he had when he was walking away from that. Like, that wasn't the wholesome blind masseur. That wasn't the Ichi who's sitting on the back of a wagon, noshing on some rice balls and enjoying the sun. That was the Yakuza Ichi. That's the Ichi that he has tried to escape from for so long now, coming back to the forefront because of his anger. And that is why he feels that he's not deserving of happiness, because he still has that inside him. And that's why at the end here, he did visit the grave of his master, but he did so before everyone else could come. Before Denroku and Otsuru and his master's daughter, I can't remember her name right now, I don't know why, but before they could make it, he chose instead to come early and leave before they could be there. And he feels like while he's helped them, and while their lives are definitely going to improve now, he's he slipped back into his old habits, and he's not able to or worthy of sharing in that same happiness with them. And again, he's done this throughout the entire series, throughout all these movies, where he just leaves, like, without saying a word, without seeing them off or anything. That's that's how he is, and we really get to see why here. This is also, I think, the first Zatoichi film that has had a full-on flashback sequence. Like, there's a full-on flashback that is actively shot differently. It is in sepia tone, and it's just like, okay, that's an unexpected experiment to try out. I didn't mind it at all. I think it worked fine. I was just surprised by it. The writing of this was also a lot more dark, I would say. Like, with, the entire fact that there's this brothel full of women who are forced to work there and literally being beaten half to death when they didn't cooperate. And it's just like the just dark nature of everything and how these women are being treated. Like I said in the reaction, like, when it comes to sex work, I'm all for sex work if it is consensual. If a woman or a man or an NB, anyone is being forced into it, it is not consensual and it is not okay. The person engaging in it has to be engaging in it of their own will. And I get a little less comfortable when they're like, they feel like they're forced to do it because they, have to pay to keep their families, fed and everything. That's uncomfortable, but they're still making the choice. And I still respect them for that. But then but those who, like, choose to do it because they just want to do it, like, again, like I said before, a lot of OnlyFans models and whatnot, a lot of porn stars who just genuinely want to do it. It's like, that's fine. I have no issue with that. All the power to them. Um, I think that it's just as much work as anything, and that they deserve to be treated the same way as anyone doing their job. But again, when you're literally forced into it, which unfortunately was a thing that happened, and there's been a lot of cultures where a lot of people were forced into it from way too young of an age, which was kind of brought up in here with Utsuru. That's when it really bothers me. Like, on just like a really fucking strong level. Because it's like, I think it said Utsuru was like 11, 12 years old. She's young. You have to realize that. Because I think it said, like, I think it said she was 6 or something like that when her father got involved in all of this, and there was like 5 years between, or it was something like that. Um, and she was very young, and this asshole is talking about, like, Denroku, after firing him, leaving her behind, and that in a few years he'd have her working there and stuff. It's just like, that's excessively fucked for a number of reasons, especially since a few years is not a long time. And when you're 11 years old, that's still like a teenager, and it's just like, Jesus, fuck. I got really uncomfortable at points here. And it's like, no matter what, even if you're saying you're going to wait until she's 18, it's like, you're still talking about an 11-year-old at the time. And it's just, it's not okay. It's not okay. And this movie, like really doesn't shy away from like the heaviness of it. And I appreciate to a degree that it doesn't like obviously get too upsetting. Like it could really go heavy with it. Um but it did what it needed to do. It didn't like give us imagery or whatnot that would have been like even more fucked up. Like I can imagine like like when they're showing like these girls being beaten and stuff, like maybe like showcasing blood on them would have like really been like a lot. And they've shown blood in this series before, but like for something like that, I feel like in 1965 might not have like it might have been seen as too much. Um but this movie still went pretty hard. And this is the 10th movie, by the way. I didn't mention this before, but this is the 10th movie in the series of 26, mind you. But yeah, let me see here. Oh yeah, Sayo. Sayo is her name. Sayo. Um I'm trying to see if it says no, I'm not seeing it. It just mentions it doesn't mention like the specifics of anything here. But one thing I wanted to bring up is that there's a lot of this, and I'm saying this with intent. There's a lot of this that reminded me of like certain aspects of the Wano arc from One Piece. And hear me out on this because obviously the Zatoichi films have inspired Oda before, with Shintaro Katsu's portrayal as Ichi having directly inspired the appearance and character of Admiral Fujitora, also known as Isho. Ichi Isho. Yeah, you get it. Um, but in the Wano arc, which is obviously based on like feudal Japan and whatnot, there is a brothel, and one of the major characters in the arc in One Piece is forced, since she was young, a literal teenager, to work there. Well, not really forced to work there, but like it ends up being like a plan and there's like a reason for it, but she ends up working there with the man leading it since she's super young, and this is after her father is killed. So there's a connection there. On top of that, a lot of the dark nature of this all very much reflects the dark nature of Wano and like the way the land was taken over. In here, the land is taken over shortly after Ichi was last here by Tatsugoro, who is working directly for the magistrate. In Wano, it was taken over by Kaido, who is working directly with the shogun Orochi. There's definite connections you can make here. The brothel house is directly run by Orochi's men, Orochi's side of things, and you have like just characters who are kind of like connected in that way. Hell, even like the name Otsuru, which is Suru with the O honorific before it and everything. It's like there is literally a character in the Wano arc named that. Um, Mind you, she's in a different position and situation than what's going on here, the character in One Piece in the Wano arc is notably older and is the wife of a samurai major character that we know. I'm trying not to spoil too much for those who might not have seen One Piece, but yeah, it's a very different character, but the name is exactly the same. And on top of that, you have like this one person, this outsider, coming in to save it. And in One Piece, you have an outsider with Luffy coming in to save Wano. The big difference, of course, being that Ichi had been to this place before, that he trained here with his master and all. The more connection you could make with that would be with the samurai of Wano, the Akazaya Nine, who are returning to Wano after having left it before to find allies, to find help. And their master was in Wano, who was killed, and they came back to help save it and everything. So that there's still connections, and I'm just wondering if Oda took any inspiration from this film for that, or if it's just kind of a coincidence. Because you can definitely see connections here. It's not exactly the same, because of course it's not going to be. But we know that Oda takes a lot of inspiration from various sources, especially a lot of classic films. Every single one of the admirals, not just Fujitora, but every single one is based off of a classic Japanese actor. And a specific role of theirs as well. So, it's not out of the question. And the entire time watching this, I was thinking about how this very much reminded me of Wano. And I know part of that is because I'm watching Wano currently. I'm rewatching through the arc with some reactions, so it's very fresh on my mind. But yeah, it's just a lot of that made me think of it. Because Wano gets really fucking dark at times. Like, just the stuff with, like, Yasui and Toko, like, that shit fucks me up still. Like, that shit really fucks me up still. Um, but yeah. I'm I I feel like this film compared to other Zatoichi films just kind of went in a darker direction than normal. Tried out a lot of different experimental things and like really really made it feel a lot more like deep for lack of a better word. It felt deeper and more like intentional than other ones. Some of the Zatoichi films come across as like very simplistic, I guess is a way to put it. And it's like just Ichi comes to place, deals with corrupt officials or bad guys, evil samurai, whatever, and maybe makes a couple connections along the way. It's like a lot of the movies you could just define that way, so simply. But this one felt like it had a lot more going on and has definitely left me with a lot to say and a lot to think about. Honestly, I think this might be my favorite. I think this might be currently my favorite Zatoichi film. Just because of the character depth, the writing, the pacing, the flashback and other experimental stuff they did, as well as just the darkness and how like strongly it went into that. Like it just really nailed a lot with this film that I feel like a lot of others just haven't gotten as much. And I mean that's not to say that other films in this series aren't good. There's quite a few good ones, but this one like really stood out and really impressed me. And honestly, if we get more like this one in the future, I will be so happy for that. But I could also see like if this one ended up being like a lot for some people to handle, If someone like was like saying that this one in particular was just too much, I could understand that. Because again, it is a lot heavier and a lot darker than other ones have been. So you're watching through the series and you suddenly get to this one, and the tone just shifts like really sharply downward. It's like, yeah, I can see that like kind of being a little upsetting and leaving you feeling a little down, a little sour. Not because it's a bad movie, but because it's just tone wise, it just kind of fucked you up. I can understand that. But personally, I kind of want to be fucked up. Like there's a side to me where it's like I want a movie to make me feel bad, because when a movie makes me feel this like upset and like aggressively uncomfortable, and it's very clearly the intent of the movie to make you feel that, I feel like it means something good about myself. When a movie makes me feel this way, it makes me feel like I'm on the right path. Like my emotions, my thoughts, my morals and ethics are in the right place. When characters who are doing this kind of shit like just bother me on such an aggressive level. And considering I've been in a place in the past where I was not the best person and I had a lot of issues and said a lot of bad things and did a lot of bad things, anything that makes me feel like I'm making good progress on becoming a better person is important to me. Even if it makes me feel bad in the moment, it makes me feel good that it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel good because again, it makes me feel like I'm feeling bad at the things you're supposed to feel bad at. I'm getting upset and angry at the things that you're supposed to be. The things that are just bad, are wrong, are disgusting and horrible. And it makes me just realize that I've been changing and I've becoming better, and I've been like, this is stuff that I probably wouldn't have been as disgusted by when I was younger. And I hate to say that. I really hate to say that. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have been disgusted at all, but not to the same level. There's even a sick part of me in the past that might have even defended certain aspects of it. Not all of it, and not like the the really creepy stuff with the brothel and everything, but other aspects of it. But the fact that I have been able to grow, and a lot of the case, it's because of other people, calling me out on my bullshit and telling me it's like, you probably shouldn't say or do stuff like that. And luckily, I got I got bad enough with that kind of stuff that I began to actually think about it and began to actually listen and change myself. And I'm not perfect. I'm not going to claim I'm perfect or just like completely better now. I still make mistakes. Everyone does. And I'm no exception to that. I still sometimes say stupid shit. I still sometimes am just wrong, in the wrong, and like doing and saying bad stuff. And I hope that if in any reaction, if I ever say something like bad, even if accidental, even if very, very clearly accidental, call me out on it, please. I very much want you to do so. Because I want to be able to grow. And I can't grow if I don't realize I'm saying this shit. And sometimes I just don't realize. So again, if I ever say anything like just that's really wrong or really bad or really offensive or anything about anything really, unless it's very clearly I'm just making a stupid joke or being like dumb to kind of like, or if I'm like mockingly like imitating a bad person in the movie or show or whatever, If it's very clear that I just like said something stupid, call me out on it. Please do. It's something that I need to be made aware of. So, um, yeah. Again, I definitely had quite a bit to talk about with this movie. Definitely a lot to think about. It's a very heavy, very dark, but very important, I would say, film in this series. And for it to just happen to also be the 10th film, I don't know if that was planned for this tone shift to happen in the 10th film, but it works out so well. Um, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Zatoichi's Revenge compared especially to previous films and whatnot? Um, and did it make you think? Did it make you like really like process a lot of this? And like how did you what did you think of like the different kind of creative ideas that they explored in this one? Let me know all of that and more down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.